Welcome to the Seat 14 podcast, a different perspective on college basketball told by those who lived it. Join us as we bring you insider views, analysis, breakdowns, and predictions from one of the most storied programs in the country, from someone who saw it all from the end of the bench, the 14th seat. In association with the Field of 68 and alongside producer Jordan Barber, I'm your host, Todd Lanter, and this is Seat 14. Welcome into episode 9 of Seat 14, presented by the Field of 68 and Bet River Sportsbook. What?
Is it episode 9?
It's 9, yeah. Today is Thursday, January 13th, 2022. It actually is Thursday during the time of this recording for once because our guest with COVID and everything else was not able to make it last night when we usually record on Wednesday, so we're doing it today. So no RD1 Spirits William Tarr for breakfast this morning, as I am not an alcoholic. So here's my Manchester coffee mug and my Dunkin' Donuts coffee in my Manchester coffee mug.
First episode in the new crib.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the new setup at the new crib.
We're getting there. We got the bar. Shout out to Maria for the bar for our set here. We're still getting everything worked out behind us. We're gonna have the screen for plays and things. We're gonna have the decor on the walls and all that. But we're getting there. I can't snap my fingers and make it happen. So one day at a time. But welcome into the new spot, man.
Yeah, this is dope, man.
Thank you.
Setup.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We got a little monitor over there so we can mimic
giant blank screen behind us.
Yeah, this is my I've had this for a while. This is my thing, but I just got it hung up down here. So we'll be able to, hopefully if we grow this or scale it, we'll be able to have them mirroring each other and we can see what's being shown behind us or whatever.
We'll be able to put stuff on the screen. Yeah. Have little watch parties. It's going brazy. Y'all.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Brazy.
We want to get to the point where we can have people over watch the game. And mic up and have some live reaction type things for social content and stuff like that. Because people, it makes it fun.
So it gets the people going.
Yeah, this isn't supposed to be a, sit down and make it like a official thing. We want to kick our feet up and have some fun with it and have some talk basketball the way you would in the basement with your boys,
just hanging out
and whatnot.
Yeah,
this coffee's good. I can't believe you don't drink
coffee. I don't like coffee, man. I don't like coffee. I will say that frozen coffee drinks, like frozen mochas and stuff. So there you go. That's a milkshake. Yeah, that's as far as I'm going into the coffee realm.
Fair enough. All right, let's get into it. We are now 12-3, I think 13-3.
I think 12.
12-3, 13-3, one of the two.
We all know what the 3 losses were.
Yeah, we know what the 3 were. We're coming off of a win in Nashville against Vanderbilt in that weird Memorial Gym.
I saw someone ask you on Twitter, what's so weird about the gym?
Well, it's an elevated floor, for one, which usually you only see in the tournament. So, like, the students are sitting on the floor like this, like with their arms on the ground. It's weird. And the cheerleaders are right in front of them, standing. So really, like, the front row of the student section is like an awful place to sit. And then the benches are obviously under the basket. So it can be odd. They've changed the rule there a little bit. They allowed the coaching box to go out towards basically the free throw line extended on the sideline. But it used to be when I was there that if it's the first half, we're going the other direction in the first half. So if Cal's yelling something to, the point or whatever, they're having to completely turn around away from the basket to hear him.
Yeah, that's weird.
Very odd.
That shouldn't be like a thing. I feel like that creates a very strange home court advantage. Like,
it's odd. It's not as big a deal really as people make it out to be. It's just something everybody loves to talk about, but it's still, it's a bit of a thing. Like, you can't hear him on the other end of the floor.
Yeah. Well, you're not even facing
it's rocking. Yeah. Now in the second half, it's a bigger advantage because we're playing defense on the opposite end, so you're facing him.
So I guess it is a double-edged sword kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a little it's weird though. But the floor being up and stuff just is kind of odd for the student section and things.
I'm not down with that just for like, and I know it hasn't happened, knock on wood that it won't, but what the hell, man? If someone just chases after a loose ball and is all of a sudden falling.
Yeah.
How high you think it is? Like 3 feet?
Yeah, it's a good couple. It's a few feet. Yeah.
That's sus.
It's waist high at least.
Shit.
Yeah. I actually think it's higher. I think the floor is more elevated at Vandy from the student section or from the, first row area than it is in the tournaments. Mostly the tournaments is about waist high.
Yeah. So that's Vandy, folks.
Yeah.
For those wondering.
But the bench on the sidelines, it doesn't really make a difference because the bench is obviously on the floor. But
yeah.
the end lines, but the sidelines it's odd. But and the gym's just kind of it's odd lighting. The gold and black coloring is just a little muted.
Yeah, it does always come across weird over camera. Like
not a fun place to play. I don't like playing there.
Noted. Todd Lanner adamant against playing in
Vandy. However, he makes up for it by being located in Nashville, Tennessee, which is far and above my favorite town, not on a body of water.
Yep. Shout out to Nash.
So this is a basketball podcast, though.
Sure enough.
Not an architecture or lighting or destination.
Well, we're having to think about these things while we produce this little setup we've got going on.
So I do want to take a second real quick to note that I have much more enjoyed myself not following a regimented schedule the way we did the first few episodes. So now we're just kind of, we know what we want to talk about. We know what we want to get to, but we're not sitting here reading off of a notepad or whatever. I kind of like freeballing it.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm here, to keep us on track. And then let you do your
I do have
free balling.
I do have a tendency to go off on a tangent.
Oh, you think?
I do.
You think?
I do.
So, let's talk about
our guest coming in today.
Yeah.
Travis Branham. He's come a long, long way since I've met him.
Yeah, so I want to know. I don't think we ever get into it. What how did he get started at Kentucky?
So
and then
so he was a phenomenal ball player. He's like many of us, skilled a couple good things, but overall just intelligent, knows the game. And he ended up coming on to, he wanted to get into analytics and coaching to an extent. And he came to Kentucky as a student manager and was there my junior and senior year, I think. And him and I, did a lot of workouts together. And, a lot of their responsibility is, helping put guys through workouts. So we were either, I was part of the workout, either, putting some of the high level guys through individuals and things and playing the defender or whatever the case was. Many times, many late nights, got to know each other very well, very similar in a lot of ways of, the classes we were taking and our goals for after playing and things like that. And then he got a close friend of both of ours is Evan Daniels, who was with 247 Sports. And he was Fox Sports South and did a lot of on-court stuff and had a Evan Daniels scouting service that was a massive success. He's one of the best in the game, best to do it at analyzing players and analyzing the game and just all around college basketball insider, NBA insider, high school ball insider. He knows everybody. His relationships are insanely extensive. He's just hoops, and he's one of the best. And he was Travis's mentor. And so Travis went to work for him for a while. Evans moved on, works for CAA now out of Nashville, and handles a lot of coaches' contracts and things. So Travis has been able to expand his role and his professionalism with the the avenues that he's taken and done a phenomenal job. And we're going to get to talk to him this morning about not only the obvious Shaedon Sharpe situation, which he obviously is well versed in, but obviously how this team has been able to, the transfers, the older guys have been able to mold some of those freshmen that he's so well acquainted with having followed them with the recruiting trail and everything, and just what that looks like for this team and its future. And then I think we're going to dive in a little bit to his prospects going into the draft this coming season and what that could look like for some of those guys, some of which are on our schedule. We've already played.
Yeah, I'm terrified of this upcoming Auburn game.
And then we got Auburn coming up.
I don't know what.
He's got it number one. He's got him at number one, right?
Jabari Smith's number one on his
so that'll
board.
be interesting. And then Chet's 2, I believe, right? Banchero 3. So we're going to dive into some of that and, just kind of pick his brain a little bit. He's hopefully going to be a reoccurring guest.
I sure hope so.
Yeah, once we get into the latter part of this season and his busy month is coming up for, commitments and transfer portal and that whole shebang that is a big to-do these days. And we're going to, hopefully just have him come in here and mic him up and watch him work a little bit. But his job's fascinating. He gets to talk about sports all day, but it's still a job. I mean, he works his butt off, and he's very, very good at what he does. And he's
anyone deserves to make a job out of it, it's Travis.
And he's still 28, I think. I mean, he's barely even scratching the surface of his potential and what his career is going to look like as he continues to develop these relationships and hone in on his craft. But a huge thank you to him for making time for us today. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk with him, and I guess we'll take a break and bring him on up.
Let's get to it. Let's give the people what they want.
All right. Yeah, they don't want to hear me. They definitely don't want to hear you.
You're telling me, buddy.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors with Bet Rivers, and we'll be right back with Travis. You're listening to Seat 14. Let me take a second to tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now's the time because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. What sets them apart, though, is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season tipping off, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the Bet Rivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome back to Seat 14. Joining us now, Travis Branham, 24/7 Sports national basketball analyst. I got it right that time. Did you see that?
You did.
Did you see that?
I am a little offended that you didn't.
What's wrong? Is it good?
Oregon?
Oh, well, don't look at me like that. He got all wide-eyed. I thought we were breaking down. Thanks for joining us, man. It's been a long time coming.
Of course. Absolutely. We've known each other for a long time. I'm a little offended you didn't introduce me as the greatest bucket getter in Lexington Athletic Club history.
As great of a basketball analyst as you are, you still don't know what a walk looks like.
Oh, my gosh. This is a debate that's gone on for 5 years.
We've played pickup together for a long time, obviously. Known each other for longer. And Travis has always done this move that's close to a walk but isn't, and everybody else calls it a walk, and I always try to piggyback their sentiment and make him extremely
because
upset.
The bucket is usually on him.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'm not going to give the person who it usually is a shout out on here, but you know who it usually is.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks for joining us. So pressing topic here, and I hate to be just like everybody else and talk about the same things, but Shaedon Sharpe's on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this is right up your alley. I kind of looked like an idiot on ESPN radio the other day for Kentucky's game on, I guess it was Tuesday, where he dressed out at Vandy. And, they asked me, will he play? I said, absolutely will not play against Vandy. Yeah. Probably won't play for at least a few weeks, maybe not at all this season. But they asked about eligibility rules, and I spent a few minutes rambling on about how, his eligibility probably isn't affected since the rule change in 2018 before I realized in the middle of my sentence that it's not going to matter for him because he's not going to be here for 4 years. But I want, what do you know about him that nobody else does?
Oh gosh.
Or what? Let's rephrase that. What do you know that you've had to educate everyone else on?
I mean, his situation's very fluid. It's very interesting. The information behind him in terms of not eligibility this year. He can play if he wants to play. Yeah. It's just is he ready? One, and does he actually want to play? My understanding is they have no intention of playing. Like Shaedon and the people with him, they have no intention of him playing this season. They want to take its time, continue to get better, all that stuff. But in terms of the NBA draft process, like he is of age. He's able to go to the draft.
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't. I mean, Kentucky even still gets credit for Enes Kanter in the NBA. Like they still, and he never played a second here.
Never played a
second. Little bit of a different situation as he was absolutely paid overseas for a very long time before he got here. But still, that we're still reaping benefits, quote unquote, reaping benefits of him having been a prospect at Kentucky, even though he never put on the uniform. But other than the Undertaker outing at Big Blue Madness, which do you remember that?
I actually don't.
He came out at Big Blue Madness his year here before the eligibility thing had kind of really come up, and he was dressed as the Undertaker. It's a pretty funny video worth watching now that you like have seen him and know more about him. It's pretty hilarious to see him in that role. So all right, we spent some time at Kentucky together. You were part of the staff for a number of years and got to see a lot of guys come through there. I think, it's obvious that this team has had their struggles without, we had a game where Severe was, 2 games now where Severe was out. We've had him out there when we fell apart at the end of the Notre Dame game. And it feels a lot like, same thing that Cal preached after the 2012 title year, which, we've heard a billion and one times now about the fact that, Darius Miller was the older guy in the locker room that was, kind of able to be an extension of the coaching staff on the floor and, hold guys accountable. And like, eventually we know that Cal likes to pass the reins along to the team at some point through the season. And this year we've got, we've still got the freshmen and like TyTy Washington and things, but the floor general is Severe Wheeler, who's a transfer from Georgia, spent significant amount of time in the SEC, obviously, played a lot of games. And then you got Oscar Schwebe coming from West Virginia, who had a phenomenal coach there. And, obviously his career has absolutely exploded since he got here. He's probably deserves to be in the conversation for National Player of the Year if the race ended today. And then you got Kellen Grady, who was a 2,000-point man at Davidson. So guys with a lot of experience, a lot of minutes, which is a significant change from last year where we had one guy coming back on the depth chart that played or that even scored a point for Kentucky in Keon Brooks. So, in our experience, having been in the locker room and seen it firsthand, how big of a difference does that make for these young kids? Because I know you spend a lot of time around these guys, and what a lot of people don't realize is even though, they're freshmen, they're highly touted, they're all over ESPN, they're significantly more athletic. We talked about this before we came on the air. They're still 18 up here. Of
course.
In a lot of cases, they're still 18 in here in their, strength and everything. But having that shoulder to lean on, that guy in the locker room to kind of hold them accountable and push them and show them what it's going to take. Because a lot of them haven't had a chance to even sit, or they've had the chance, but haven't had the need to even sit in the defensive stance for 30 seconds before they get here. And now they realize that, one possession off can be the difference in a game. So I just kind of want to know your thoughts on, having seen it firsthand and spent a lot of time around these young guys, what that means to have that person.
Yeah, I think it's immensely valuable. And going back to our days there when I was manager, my first year was the 2014-2015 team. We had Carl Towns, Trey Lyles, Devin Booker, Tyler Ulis. We had all these special players come in. And like you saw firsthand in practice every single day, especially when they first got on campus, like those guys were so far behind. They had no idea what they were doing half the time. It took a long time.
Fumbling dribble handoffs.
Oh my God.
I remember one drill. I don't mean to cut you off. We'll come right back to that. But the crossover footwork on the loop outs coming out of the corners, guys were tripping and falling like without a ball in their hand. Like it was impressive. Go ahead.
I'll never forget one practice. We did a drill where essentially you have to stop. You put one team in the middle and they're on defense, right? And they have to stop the offense until the shot clock winds down. Like you can take a shot within 10 seconds and the clock starts again at 20 seconds. And it just keeps ticking down until that time runs out. But if they get a bucket, it resets.
The diamond drill?
Yeah. And so the freshmen were put in the middle, and I swear this drill went on for 30 minutes because they couldn't get a stop. They had no idea how to defend.
It was bad.
To the point it's tremendously valued, specifically because of the defensive standpoint. These guys come in, they've never had to defend, they've never been held accountable for it, and these older guys know what it takes to win. They know what, especially on the defensive end, how valuable and important that is. So having guys like Kellen Grady, Severe Wheeler, like you were saying, like that's so much value. But also, again, which this team kind of doesn't have because they're all transfers, still pretty much a brand new team minus Keon Brooks and Davion Mintz. You have to know how to deal with the coaching staff.
That's
having that relationship, knowing how these guys communicate with you, because it's not going to be the same from a Tom Crean for Severe Wheeler to a John Calipari here at Kentucky or Oscar Sheboy from West Virginia here. Like those guys, they're also a learning curve. But having guys like Davion Mintz and Keon Brooks who know what Cal is like, who know how he coaches, that I think is arguably more important.
It is, in my opinion.
You can really take guys under your wing at that point when Coach Cal gets on you for missing a defensive assignment. You can pull him aside and say, hey, this is what he's saying. Like, let's work on this. Let's figure this out together. And like, we're upholding and supporting each other throughout this season. Yeah. And I think that's something like both very valuable, having the experience and age. It's very valuable. But I think having guys that return within the program, like we saw in that 2014-2015 team with Willie, the twins, all those guys coming back, they were all able to kind of take these freshmen under the wing and kind of walk them through the steps of how it works at Kentucky specifically.
I'm glad you said that because first off, I struggle on a little bit of a tangent here. I struggle to attach. I know Tom Crean's at Georgia, but I never remembered that he was the coach for Severe when he was there. I don't know why. It just doesn't click with me, but vastly different coaching style, obviously. The thing that piggybacking your point here, one of the coolest moments for me at Kentucky, I specifically remember my second year was Julius Randle's year. And he came in during summer workouts, and, I was a walk-on. Yep. And I remember doing 17s. And it's summer workouts. We're barely playing. We barely have a ball in our hands at this point in the season. And Julius pulled me aside and put his arm around me and was like, I need your help. Like, tell me what, there was nobody else there. There was no one else. Like, we didn't have anybody coming back that could guide him. I mean, we'd lost Kyle Wilcher to transfer. There was like John Hood and Jared and I, and Sam and Brian. And Julius and I just clicked that day because he pulled me aside and was like, what is it he's asking of me? How does he want me to go about this? And it's much more than just like, hey, run a 17 in this amount of time, And I mean, it's the little things. Like, I mean, even like, I don't want to go off on this down this rabbit hole, but even like where you can cheat, and I don't mean like cut corners. I mean like, if we're running 17s, is he wanting us to like touch the line with our hand? Is he wanting us to finish, right? Because like there's times when you're dead tired that the point is like we're wearing your legs out, and then we're putting you on the free throw line and knock a free throw down. It's less about, like we just want to see you push through it. You know what I mean? Like I'm again not trying to go down that rabbit hole, but he was asking me like, what is it that he needs to see from me so he can get off my back? Yep. And it was mostly about Cal, but obviously KP as well, because Julius has spent so much time with him, which he's, back to that all over again, back to square one up there in New York. But it's just, the experience is much more than what the public gets to see. And that was the coolest part for me, probably undeservingly getting to be a part of that and see it up close, because it changes my perspective. Like my respect for the game went up so much more after seeing the type of work that even those guys that have that type of athleticism have to put into it. And it makes me laugh when I hear, not just Cal, but any coach in the world, whether it's, NBA, you hear about, what's his name at the Lakers, that was here. What's his head coach at the Lakers? Vogel. Yeah. Frank Vogel and guys like Cal. And they're like, yeah, they just roll the ball out because they got that talent. And you're like, you just don't have a true appreciation for what it takes, because even if you have that talent, it's about, relationship management, ego management. You got to figure out how to get guys to buy in. And, Cal gets scrutinized like under a microscope for everything. Many coaches do. But you have to convince guys like Karl Towns and Devin Booker, like Devin coming off the bench, Karl not allowed to shoot outside of 15 feet and play with his back to the basket. And it's just about, trying to figure out how to put the best product on the floor. And sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, but, getting to see behind the scenes to what the media then turns around and scrutinizes was one of the coolest aspects for me, because you realize that those 18-year-old kids aren't that different from everybody else that's that age. So
they're just very physically gifted.
They were very gifted.
Hit the genetic lottery in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But those, to that point, like that people don't understand how valuable those summer practices and summer days were. Like those were grinds.
Dude, I'm gonna talk whenever I get Aaron or Devin or both on here. I'm gonna talk to them about this. But they actually got in a fight like the first day of workouts, because Devin is a competitor. He comes onto campus after Aaron. I mean, think about this. Aaron has come off of 3 of the biggest shots in Kentucky history to send us to a national championship game against UConn in 2014, and 6 weeks later, this scrawny little dweeb, Devin Booker, steps on campus and is coming for his spot, coming for his minutes, and not quietly.
No.
And they're competitors. They come to blows, and like that right there created a bond and a brotherhood. Like, you came at me, and I respect that. And
to Aaron's defense, and no offense to Devin, Devin couldn't defend me.
No, he couldn't guard anyone.
At that point in time, he could not defend me.
He couldn't guard anybody.
Every time Aaron would put the ball on the ground, Devin was hacking it.
Yeah,
whether he realized it or not, he was all over 100%. And to the point where it was like, all right, you know what? This dude needs to back the heck up.
Yeah, 100%. And
obviously, yes, they're both competitors, so they both kind of held their ground.
But that's what you want to see at that point in the season, right? And that's what creates that respect, that mutual respect. Like, we wouldn't be as friendly as we are if we didn't run our mouth to each other the way we do playing pickup. Like, you have a mutual respect for the game when you're holding each other accountable in that way. And guys, the fact that a lot of people don't get to see that is like, I hate that. I wish they got to see that, because they would you'd be a lot less quick to judge and attack these kids if you saw what happens and what goes on behind the scenes when it relates to that
Devin
kind of thing.
Booker in the gym till 2 a.m. with Kenny Payne and Tyler Eulis working out.
Yeah, like
your opinion changes a little.
100%. As much as they don't, like, you don't want them to miss that shot, I promise they don't want to miss it more.
Correct.
Like, they are in there working and putting in the time and effort. And a lot of most of them are trying to make a career out of it. And they're going to work with the mentality of earning that opportunity that very few actually get to experience. It's just that I think is something that you and I have gotten to see firsthand that I wish a lot of other people could. And you usually, if you see it, it's 30 years down the road when they do a 30 for 30 on a team, and then you're like, oh man, like, I didn't know that about them.
Kobe was up
but you didn't stop you when you were running your armchair quarterback Twitter mouth. But geez, you gotta. Dude, I mean,
you know what? Nature of the job, man.
Just silence it, man. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Let it ring. Break a scoop. Yeah. Give me a live. Give me some breaking news, man.
Scoop season's coming in about a month. The transfer portal.
We'll have you come back during. We'll have you sit in here during your busiest work hours.
You do not want me in here. During that time.
We'll just mic you up and just let you sit on the couch and go to work. Just leave the mic on.
Those are the war room days. Man.
That's what I want. We want to take a moment to tell you about our friends over at Liquid IV. Liquid IV's Hydration Multiplier is a great tasting daily electrolyte drink mix that utilizes the breakthrough science of cellular transport technology to deliver hydration to the bloodstream faster and more efficiently than water alone. Just add the electrolyte powder to your water and let CTT do the rest. With 3 times the electrolytes of sports drinks, as well as 5 essential vitamins, Liquid IV comes in convenient, travel-friendly, single-serving packets. It is non-GMO with no artificial ingredients and comes in 8 delicious flavors, including lemon lime, pina colada, watermelon, passion fruit, guava, acai berry, apple pie, and my personal favorite, strawberry. So head on over to liquidiv.com. That's liquid-iv.com and plug in code SEAT14 at checkout to enjoy 25% off of your order. Liquid IV, fueling life's adventures. Welcome back to Seat 14. Still here with Travis. We had some technical difficulties because I'm too stupid to figure out how to plug up 3 mics at once. So, Jordan, go ahead with what you were going to ask.
Travis, I'm wondering, you've been in the game. In your time, having such a close eye on college basketball, have you seen any players who have joined a program like Oscar, not necessarily as a freshman, but later on in their career, and immediately had such a massive impact the way that he has?
Yeah, I think one that's very close to proximity here is Carlik Jones at Louisville last year. He came in. I'm blanking on what school he came from, man. Just lower mid-major program. Having a hard time remembering. But he came into Louisville and was one of the best players in the entire ACC last year. His impact on that program can't go understated, to be honest with you. It was him and David Johnson running things, and Carlik, honestly, he stepped in on campus, and while David Johnson was the better pro prospect, Carlik, it was Radford. That is it. That is it. He came in, and it became his team from day one. So guys like Carlik, guys like Oscar, that's why everybody's licking their chops when they see this transfer portal. They see that they can go out and find another big-time contributor to come in right away and kind of make a real impact on a winning team. So I expect this trend to continue. You're only going to see more pop into it this year. And honestly, it's really hurt the recruiting trail quite a bit for the high school kids, especially at this point in the season. There's a lot of kids available. And at this point where if you go back 3-4 years, these kids who are currently available would be getting recruited by the high major programs because there's nobody else out there and they need fillers. Mm-hmm. Now, all these kids are just, nobody's even, like coaches are barely even talking to them because all they're doing is just waiting on this portal. We're going to see and start getting in, kind of keep an ear out, listening to see who's going to be going into that portal and then just building it off from there.
I mean, are people as negatively opinionated about this opportunity, this new rule change where you can just transfer and play immediately as they were like the one and done thing originally, you think?
No, I think honestly most people have embraced it. And the people, if any coaches aren't embracing it, they're just going to get left behind. It comes back to saying adapt to get left behind.
Yeah.
For the most part, the people I've talked to, yes, it's one of those things. It's a bit suspect in terms of like you're in the handshake lines. Like at some point, there's people going to be taking advantage of this rule. Mm-hmm. We're humans. It's going to happen.
It's just wild. I mean, I remember Marvin Stone when I was real young, played at UK, transferred, had to sit out a year, and then played at Louisville. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, that just sticks out in my mind because he took a year off. But Severe was out with his whiplash or concussion or whatever we're calling it right now after the last home game and missed the Georgia game. Mm-hmm. But otherwise he would have been on the floor against his old team and his old coach 6 months after being in uniform for him. Yep. It's just it's something we're gonna have to get used to because I mean it's just like anything else. We're used to the one and done rule now, but for now it just feels really odd. But it does suck for those high school kids that have worked for this opportunity that are being a little bit overlooked because people are just kind of waiting. It's like when you go to a new pickup gym and you call next and they're like, oh no,
nah,
we pick up our own here, man.
Correct.
But I know you had go ahead. Sorry, did you have
I was going to say, it's one of those things where like kids were getting over recruited at this time 3-4 years ago. Now it's like if you try to wait because you want to go to the highest level, if you wait, you're going to be like falling down to, if you're a borderline high major recruit, now you're going to be looking more towards just like the straight mid-major programs. And like, obviously that you can go there and succeed as long as you have the right mentality. Mm-hmm. But if you're just holding out for the top programs to come in and recruit you, it might not ever come.
That's wild. All right. I know you got one more question for him before we let him go.
Yeah. So me and you have this dynamic where I'm like the analytic guy, and I think, I watch a lot of NBA basketball. I love the 5-out pick and roll, space shooters to the corner. But Travis, I want to know what you think about the complexion of this Kentucky rotation? Because, in my opinion, watching them the past 2 games, having to play TyTy at the 1, this is the type of basketball that I like to see. You know what I mean? So I'm curious where you fall on the like analytic to let basketball players play basketball spectrum.
I'm definitely right in the middle. And honestly, I think Severe going out has been very beneficial to Kentucky, and not because he's out. I don't say it because of that. It's more of this has been a great growing moment, not only for TyTy Washington, but also Davion Mintz. Yeah. Davion's confidence has grown exponentially the past 2 games since Severe's been out. He's getting a whole lot more opportunities, getting a whole lot more freedom out on the floor. Now, me personally, on the rotation, I do like to see the TyTy running the 1 with Davion and Kellen Grady alongside him on the perimeter. I think that gives you a lot of floor, gives you a lot of spacing, gives you a lot of shooting. Those guys can make plays off the bounce. They can all pass. And then with Oscar down low, the 4. I think that's going to be one of those positions on this team where it's going to fluctuate every single game. Yeah. Maybe it's Toppin's game. You're going to see him out there for 30 minutes a game. Maybe it's Keon Brooks. He's having himself a good night, so he gets in for 25, 30 minutes. Honestly, the best pro prospect on this team is Daimion Collins. He's just not ready yet. Yeah. His body's so far behind.
We had Marcus Lee on early in the second or third episode because I saw those comparisons. Do you see that in him? A lot like Marcus.
Daimion's way more skilled than Marcus was. No offense, Marcus.
No, I said that too. He's got to get his offensive package is there. Correct. It's just he's got to get his body.
Yeah, like Marcus to handle it. When he got on campus, even his sophomore year, he
was a volleyball player.
Oh my gosh, he would have been a freak volleyball player. I told him that. Yeah, been a freak. But he just gets bumped off the block so easily. If you can't hold your ground, you can't get position for a rebound. It's just going to take time.
He's tiny, man. He's thin.
Very, very thin. Very, very thin. So, yeah, that rotation, I love those 3 on the perimeter. I love the idea of a guy like Severe who just brings energy every time he steps on the floor coming off the bench. I love that idea. Guy who's going to come in, defend, going to get others involved. And then, like I said, that 4 spot's one of those things we're just going to see interchanging throughout the whole season.
I think the college basketball world was robbed of a spectacular performance from Severe against Georgia back here again. That would have been really cool to see. But I want to echo your sentiment about that 4 spot. We've seen Jacob Toppin and Daimion Collins and Lance Ware almost every game. They're all 3 out there together. And I can't think of a world that I would ever have the 3 of them on the floor at the same time because of what you just said. If whether it's Severe and we're going a little smaller with Kellen or TyTy or Davion in the other 2 spots, or TyTy at the point and Kellen and Davion at the 2 and 3. Oscar, obviously, unless he's in foul trouble, is going to be out there. But I can't see a world where I would have any more than 2 of those guys on the floor at the same time.
Right.
With the way that we play offense, right? And obviously, Davion, like you said, has picked up a lot of confidence in the last couple of weeks. TyTy as well, but TyTy's been going about his business quietly. I mean, he's had 17-point outings a couple times. Obviously, a 17 assist outing to go along with the 17 points the other day. Really, just not getting credit for what he's doing, but he's also not bearing the burden of the team on his back like a lot of highly touted freshmen have had to do here, because he's got that other help. So, guys are having, the opposition, the coaching staff and everybody's had to prepare for how to deal with Oscar in the paint and how to deal with, our being able to spread the floor and guys attacking the rim. And TyTy's just kind of been able to go about his business, without having the pressure of having to perform every night in order for us to get a win, which is fantastic for him.
Yep.
And then Kellen, obviously he's got the confidence. I just think he was lacking a little bit early on in how he fit into this offense. He's obviously got an unbelievable stroke. I think he's one of the purest shooters I've seen in a long time. And Kentucky started to finally figure it out. I think Kyle's been listening to me talk about this, but if we put him in a dribble handoff situation where he can come off of a screen and get a handoff and get going downhill, he's dangerous because they have to defend the screen to take a shot away. And that gets him that first step downhill. And then it's just a game of pick your poison, right? You're going to give me this pull-up. You're going to give me this floater. You're going to let me get to the rim. If you take all that away, here's the lob. And when you can simplify the game that effectively, when you can get them to that point where they're having to choose, you got them.
No question.
It's they're beat.
And when you have, like you were saying, a Lance Ware, Toppin, and a Collins, or even a Sheway out on the floor, like that takes a lot of that away.
You can throw it up 13 feet in the air if you need to.
You get a lot of rebounds.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of rebounds with those three on the floor at the same time, but kind of stalls the offense.
Yeah.
You lose a whole lot of floor spacing. And it really puts the pressure on one or two guys to put the ball in the hole. Oscar's going to clean anything and everything
absolutely.
up.
That's can you imagine the confidence like even you and I would have as a shooter, knowing that if you miss,
it doesn't matter.
There's still a 25% chance we're going to get the ball back.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to put my arm in a sling.
Oh my gosh.
I'd be firing.
We already have to put your arm in a sling. You think you have the green light no matter what. But yeah, I mean, having an Oscar as a shooter, like that should give you a lot of confidence.
It does.
Like, this shot, whatever happens, good chance, like you said, there's a 25% chance we get that ball back. Takes a whole lot of pressure off your shoulders when you're taking that shot.
Absolutely. And being the guy with the ball in your hand going downhill, whether it's, Kellen, TyTy, Davion, Severe, coming off that ball screen and you're getting to the nail, if they take the jump shot away and if you advance a little further, you're in the paint, you can, all right, maybe I finish with contact, maybe the lob's there. Even if they defend that well, all right, that skip pass for a wide open shot, like they can't guard all three. And, you and I know after being through thousands of drills, running that thing over and over and over again, if you're able to simplify the game, slow it down mentally, but, still play at a brisk pace, it's impossible to guard all of that. And that's when the game gets fun.
No question.
When you can play it, effectively and like it's like chess. It's just a little bit faster.
Just a little bit faster.
Hey, real quick, Travis, before you go, I want to give a chance to give you a shout out and pick your brain a little bit. Jabari Smith has officially eclipsed Paolo Banchero and Chet Holmgren in your draft rankings. What are you seeing there that's, giving you the insight to put him number one? Can you kind of take us through the process of an NBA team's evaluation of these top-tier prospects?
The evaluation process starts 3-4 years ago. Jabari Smith kind of broke onto the scene. Actually, a close friend of ours, Evan Daniels, went into a back gym, saw Jabari Smith. Nobody knew who he was.
Really? I didn't know that.
Saw half of him.
That's awesome.
And immediately, this kid's a top 10 player.
So that's awesome.
Shout out to our boy E.
I
tell him all the time that's the best work he's ever done.
Really?
Sounds the best work.
That sounds kind of. I mean, not that I'm comparing the two. It sounds like the John Morant find. Yeah. Just went to get a bag of chips and stumbled upon him. That's awesome. Shout out E Diddy.
So that evaluation process starts then. Who was he at the beginning stage of his development? And from me being in high school gyms all the time, seeing Jabari dozens of times. Thing that always stood out about Jabari, obviously 6'10", he's good athlete, really high IQ. What always made him special to me was his ability to learn and pick things up extremely quick. He literally improved every single time he took the floor. It may not show up in the stat sheet with points, but like you saw his skill set developing every single game. And you're seeing it again this year. Like coming into this year, first off, exiting high school for him, he was in the top 3 conversation. He was one of those guys I expected this to happen to, not necessarily be the definite number 1 guy already, but he would definitely be in the conversation. But he was one of those guys that improved every single game. I actually thought you make that leap up a level, maybe that slows down a little bit. Maybe there's an adaptation period. You got to figure things out. No. This dude just figured things out on the fly. He had one game early in the season. I remember watching against UConn. He really struggled that first half. Halftime comes. He comes out and dominates the second half and in overtime. Like that ability to just adapt and learn mid-game is special for any player, let alone a freshman player. So the evaluation process starts that 5 years ago, and you just continue to watch and see what this kid's about. What's his mental makeup? How does he continue to improve and develop over time? That tells you a lot, just that trajectory of how they're improving and producing. And then like his game just projects so well at the NBA level. It's just like such an easy projection. He stretches the floor. He's a 45% 3-point shooter right now at 6'10", which is absolutely absurd. And now he's creating and making his own shots out of the mid post. You saw it last game against Alabama. Catches it 15 feet, turn around, pound dribble, step back fadeaway, drains it. Like it's stuff like that. Like it's not only is he a plug and play stretch for prospect, but this is a guy you can also just give the ball to in late clock situations. He's going to be able to go get you a bucket.
Yeah.
So that's what people are seeing. And then the defensive versatility, the upside on that end is absolutely tremendous. He moves his feet exceptionally well. And again, he has a very high basketball IQ, so he's going to be able to pick up coverages very, very well and be able to kind of adjust on the fly. And then compared to like Chet Holmgren, I'm a big Chet advocate. So for Jabari to make this jump, it's saying something for me.
Yeah.
I think Chet is a very special, unique prospect that we haven't seen. Like I've never seen a player like Chet.
Mm-hmm.
He is a very tall and skinny glass of water.
Skinny what?
Glass of water.
Oh, I like that.
He is rail thin, but for his ability to produce the level he's producing at this 190-pound frame,
mm-hmm.
it's pretty ridiculous, pretty remarkable.
How tall is he?
7 foot, 7'1". 7'6" wingspan, 7'7". Another kid with a special mental makeup.
Yeah.
Big time competitor, knows how to pick things up extremely quick, elite defender. And then he's just got so much creativity that you can do as a coach with him, with his ability to put the ball on the ground, his ability to make shots off the dribble, pass, defend. There's just so many different things. He's just a unique prospect, but his body is just so far away, similar to like a Damian Collins. Like it's going to take him so long, especially at the NBA level. He's just going to get moved too easily, too early. So his impact timeline's a little bit further away.
So where does that leave him?
I mean, to me, he's number 2 on my board. I think the ultimate upside of Chet Holmgren, I actually think he has the highest upside of all those guys that we're talking about, between Jabari, him, and even Apollo Banchero. Like those three, I think Chet has the highest upside. His floor just isn't as high because those other two are just so physically gifted.
Yeah.
Like,
You got Banchero. You got Banchero at 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's just one of those guys, extremely high floor, just doesn't have the ceiling that the other two have. You know, he's going to be able to come in and impact an NBA game.
Oh, yeah.
He's physically, he was ready last year.
Yeah.
Skill set, IQ, all those things, he's ready to come in. He's going to be an efficient and effective player, no doubt about it. He's going to be a very, very good NBA player.
Yeah.
So Jabari, didn't expect this soon. In Kentucky, I think they play on Saturday this week?
Yeah. It's coming up.
So they're going to have their hands full with him.
I'm excited. It's going to be
awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But are you going to go? You going to get to go?
I'm not. I'm going to be. I'm actually hitting the road tomorrow morning. I'm heading up to Hoop Hall Classic, one of the biggest high school basketball tournament.
Where is it?
It's up in
Jersey,
Springfield, Massachusetts.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. Well, next time you go out to Phoenix, I'm tagging along. You go out there too often. I need to get a golf lesson or two from you. But I appreciate you taking the time to come in here, man. I know you're busy. I know you got to get back to work, but means a lot for you to take a second to sit down. That was an unbelievable wealth of knowledge there at the end. I mean, I knew you knew the rest of it, but seeing you work the way that you've the way you've learned to articulate the game is impressive. So
appreciate that. Congratulations and good luck with the career as you move forward. I hope you're right about the big board as we get closer to draft day, but I'm going to have you come back for your busy month, and just maybe we'll just mic you up. I'll just mic you up, give you a remote and your computer, and sit you on the couch and just hopefully grab just sit there and narrate what I'm doing. Just
grab some tidbits. Like I just want to pull with your approval. I'll pull just a couple little pieces.
My wife can barely stand me during those times of the year. I don't think you guys want to.
I'm
be a
sure
part
it's
of it,
very
but it'll
little
definitely
sleep.
be good entertainment for other people.
It's probably just a series of naps, I would imagine.
Oh gosh.
No, very little. Nights.
Those are 6 a.m. to midnight days.
Yeah.
Those days don't stop.
Yeah. All right, bud. I'm proud of you. We're going to take another quick break, and then we'll be back to wrap it up with Jordan and I. Thanks for stopping in, man. I'll see you soon.
Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely.
La Touraine is a designer watch company that believes in focusing on family first. We put substance over flash, value over marketing, and the customer over profit. So we want to offer a special deal to you for being part of the Seat 14 family. Visit our website at latouraine.com. That's LA-TOURAINE.com and mention code SEAT14 to get our most popular watch, a $200 value for just $75. See another watch you love? Just message us on Twitter and mention SEAT14. We will make an offer just for you. From our family to yours, La Touraine.
Okay, I've been instructed not to say you're listening to Seat 14
you
anymore.
gotta quit that,
Old
dude.
habits die hard.
I'm gonna leave them in for these episodes just to spite you.
Okay, well we have
It's
to.
honestly, I'm like shaming you.
But when we go to a commercial break for the radio, I have to say this is ESPN Radio 1392.5, and like it's habitual.
You got to have a switch, man. You got to be able to turn that radio switch on and turn it off.
I'm learning the podcast world. I'm learning that it doesn't have to be like I can pretty much say and do what I want here.
Yeah, there can be dead air time.
If I took a drink of coffee in the middle of talking on the radio, they would shoot me in the face.
Okay,
Like,
that seems a bit harsh.
well, they don't like that. I had a cough drop in once to suppress my cough so that I didn't interrupt myself while talking.
And that was the last mistake you ever made.
And like the cough drop itself was, they were just like very unhappy with the fact
That's a problematic cough drop.
and I was like, I'm not slapping it around my teeth or something, like playing, hockey with the freaking cough suppressant, but whatever.
So thanks again to
It's okay.
Travis.
It's a different thing. It's a different thing now.
Yeah, it's a different thing. Moving on.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Travis.
Travis killed it, man.
Possibly the most well-articulated basketball analyst that I've ever heard.
Are you going to break my coaster?
Dude, I like to fiddle.
I see
all
that.
right?
We need to get you one of those stress balls.
Yeah,
or
I need.
something.
I always need something in my hands.
But yeah, Travis absolutely killed it. Like I said, he knows the game better than 99%, 99.9%.
Yeah. And I think it's one thing to know the game; it's another thing to be able to like convey.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he communicates it extremely well, and he's very knowledgeable. He knows what he's talking about. Obviously, that's why he's making a career of what he's doing. But just a phenomenal guy, and taking the time to come in here and talk with us, and the insight to Kentucky is one thing because he was a part of the program here for a while. He lives here, but he knows that much in depth about every player in college basketball, and he came in within the last 5 or 6 years. So the first 5 or 6 years of the pro level, he knows those guys intimately well as well. So the longer he continues to do this, those guys age and get older and, become vets in the NBA, and he knows their game and has followed them from, their high school days. And in some cases, 15, 14 years old. So his knowledge base, his relationship base is extensive. It's not just in Kentucky. It's not just the SEC. He can speak confidently and intelligently about the entire scope of college basketball. It's a lot of time that goes into watching these guys, not only at the collegiate level, but in AAU before they're making their decision for college athletics as well. And that's not even including the ones that don't really pan out to be much. So it's a big to-do. Spends a lot of time in the gym, a lot of hours watching basketball, and, it shows. But that's a dedication to your craft, and, we wish him the best of luck as he continues to advance his career.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Is that it?
You got me up at 9 a.m. this morning. You know I'm not a morning person.
You don't drink coffee. That's why you're not a morning person. Besides, it's noon now.
It is now noon o'clock. And I still feel like a zombie.
Oh boy! All right. Well, we'll get you out of here so you can get. I know you got some editing to do now.
Yeah.
The better we make the podcast, like the more mics, the more camera angles, the cooler it looks, the better the graphics get, the higher quality of everything. As that exponentially increases, as does your editing time. So thanks for that. Yeah. So thanks for all you do to help us put this on.
It's a pleasure, man.
Hopefully we continue to grow it, and we'll have a lot of fun with this as we continue to push it forward.
Literally my dream job. So.
Well, one day at a time, we'll get there. But thank you all for listening. We got Saturday at 1. Saturday at 1, Tennessee comes to town at Rupp Arena. If you're in town, local in the area, come up to Lex Live. I'll be up there doing the pregame show starting at noon. It will be a phenomenal day to watch college basketball.
Those UK Tennessee games hit different.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy game. If you don't have tickets to Rupp, come on over to Lex Live, check out the show, grab you a drink, grab you some food, hang out.
It'll be Folky's last game in Rupp, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. He's been there a decade.
I know. So sick of that
We'll
dude.
see. I mean, every once in a while somebody comes through like a Perry Ellis.
Perry Ellis. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, and they just stick around forever.
Talk for a moment,
Okay.
please, about your experience playing against Alex Caruso.
Oh, okay. So Evan Daniels, who we've talked about quite extensively on today's episode, has a great relationship with him, has known him forever, said he always had the potential. I didn't see it, honestly. I saw how good he was, and I knew he'd be a professional. I didn't think that he'd be what he is.
He's one of the better defensive players in the
phenomenal.
entire NBA.
He's phenomenal. And he got, it's a lot of, obviously hard work and dedication to get there, but then it's a lot of luck. Ending up in the right situation, and what LeBron putting his arm around him and kind of ushering him through the road, or through the loopholes and everything. That's just go ahead. Just shoved him right into that role he played in LA.
Yeah,
and propelled him. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not giving credit to anybody but Alex, but. Yeah. It's right situation, right time. Yeah. I mean, I've referenced this before, but like Rondo in Boston, right? Rondo was a phenomenal player, was ultimately going to make a lot of money playing basketball, but having the pieces he had around him in Boston and winning that championship so early in his career put him on a trajectory that was unstoppable. Much like what happened with Alex. He ended up on a team where he was able to shine. He had no pressure to perform. None. I mean, he was on a team that didn't need much out of him, and then he was able to provide enough value that they then became reliant on him, and he earned those minutes. And, his run with LA and what he's done to win a ring and then get
Mickey
the deal.
Mouse ring.
Do what?
Mickey Mouse ring.
Yeah, but still. But then
it still counts. It means something.
But then get his the deal that he got in Chicago, and now be on a team that's doing what Chicago's doing this season. He's an integral part of every program he's going to be with moving forward. And he's going to do a lot of big things in this league. And he's got, probably his best years ahead of him.
Yeah. I was very upset when my Celtics didn't target him and Lonzo Ball in free agency.
Yeah.
Or on the trade market. It's, those types of dudes win you games.
Yeah.
They may not be the 6'10" freak athlete, go up and get you an ISO bucket every possession like a Kevin Durant type, but you need those glue guys, and I think there is no better definition of a glue guy than Alex Caruso.
Yeah.
So shout out Caruso.
Yeah, he's an absolute baller. But what do you think of since you brought it up? We'll finish on this. What do you think of your Celtics this season?
They suck. The main problem with the Celtics this year, look, I love Jalen and I love Jason, but we don't have a point guard, man. I love Marcus Smart too. It cannot be your primary ball handler and initiator. So we've run into a bit of an issue where the offense becomes stagnant. Very similar, if you will, to last year's UK team, with just too much. I don't want to call it ego because I don't know these guys and I'm not behind the scenes, but just too much ISO ball, too much the ball sticks in one guy's hands and he feels obligated to go make a play that he's maybe not capable of making. So I think some problems could be solved by just adding a competent point guard. Like I said, Lonzo Ball, good Lord, why did we not trade the house for him? I mean, put the mortgage down on that man. Seriously, he would fit so perfectly on this team, and it really sucks. But at the end of the day, I love my boys. I bleed green, so I'm gonna root for them regardless. And I'm not gonna sit here and say to blow up the Jalen and Jason duo yet. But I'd be lying if I said it's not a thought that's crossed my mind.
Well,
so there's my Celtics fan soapbox while you were getting your laptop.
Everybody probably just turned off the podcast during that.
Exactly. Hopefully we've lost all viewer retention at this point, and what I said will just be lost in the history.
All right, you have 15 seconds to come up with a quote. It's your turn. All right, I'm going to start reading this. 15 seconds. You
All
ready?
right.
Today's episode of Seat 14 was brought to you, as always, by Bet River Sportsbook in association with Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier, inadvertently, Manchester Coffee, and RD1 Spirits for the Field of 68. Thank you for listening. I'm Todd Lanter, alongside Jordan Barber, and
I'm Batman.
we'll see you next week.